Okay, Mosque of Selim II. It's in Turkey. Sinian is the architect. We need to know the architect's name, although this is obviously part of the Ottoman Empire. That could also be helpful. It would be helpful for you to know. Before you proceed with this video, you should definitely read the handout from the art textbook, a different art textbook than the one you've got, about the Mosque of Selim. That handout's going to talk specifically about Sinian's desire to kind of outdo Christian architecture, specifically Hagia Sophia, which we know at this point Constantinople has been taken over by the Ottoman Turks and has been transformed into Istanbul. Anyway, the Sinian was really stung by comments written by European and Italian Christians that Muslim architecture had never and would never surpass Hagia Sophia. And so that's part of why he put so much effort into this building and why he really wanted to clearly top Hagia Sophia with that. Anyway, if you've not read the article about the Mosque of Selim, you need to do that. The one that I gave you in class. So pause this and come back to it after you've read it. So please keep in mind the date here. We're 1568 to 1575, which means that in Europe we've got the High Renaissance going on. So you want to think about Sistine Chapel, the School of Athens, all the great architecture and art of the High Renaissance, which is much of it or most of it is focused on, of course, Christian themes, and so that also fits into why this particular building was going to be such an important project for Sinian, an important project for the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman ruler initially here is going to be Suleiman, and Suleiman's son, Selim II, is the one under whom Sinian created this mosque, and for whom the mosque is named. This complex is located at the highest point in Urdine, which is the first city that Europeans coming to the Ottoman Empire would go to. So, of course, you get a city in Ottoman splendor, and at the highest point in the city is this marvelous mosque, which outdoes Hagia Sophia. So that is clearly a statement. What Sinian was really interested in is making sure that you have a perfectly unified, square, centrally planned building with the dome, with a unified space in which the mihrab was visible. Now, remember, in Hagia Sophia, the mihrab is not initially a part of the design, and so it had to be added in, which is why it's off center and may not be totally visible or clear to visitors, because also Hagia Sophia has more of a longitudinal thrust, right? Because it's a combination of a basilica plan and a centrally planned building. But this is more of a centrally planned building, so the mihrab is clearly visible to everyone who's there, which of course is going to be an important point because prayer is directed toward the mihrab. All right, so I mentioned that already. So Hagia Sophia, as it's mentioned in the article from Khan Academy, which you already should have read, the exterior of Hagia Sophia, there wasn't much effort put on beautifying the exterior. The interior is where all the effort went. And so by contrast, the Mosque of Selim, we have, obviously we have this striped masonry that you see on the arches, and so we have this one doesn't have a great example, but we have more complex brickwork in general on the facade of Mosque of Selim that is supposed to ideally kind of mirror the architectural features of the building. I see some Makernas here and here, right? So really wanted to make sure that it outdid Hagia Sophia, not just in the interior, but also the exterior. Let me go back actually to this image. So on the exterior, you have minarets, which are only 12 feet in diameter, which is actually not that very large for a very tall tower that goes up to 295 feet. So that's a real architectural feat, right? We have windows around the base of the dome, which also reminds you of Hagia Sophia. But we also have windows at every single level of the building, which really fills the space with light. Fills the space with light. Going to be important because it's a religious space, and light is generally associated with God. Okay, so we in the interior we also have these striped arches, and we have 8 piers to create an octagon within the square base that the building is based on. I mentioned the windows here. They're clerestory windows, and they help to flood the space with light. And we also have half domes. You see here, you see here, you see here, and there's another one as well at the corners of the squares. So domes on half domes and domes, right? The whole complex contains not just the prayer hall and the courtyard, but also it has some madrasas. Madrasas are essentially schools. They can be either religious schools or secular schools. And it also has this row of shops as well. Okay. In addition to that, it's got baths, soup kitchens for the poor, hospitals, a cemetery. So it's a really there's a lot happening in this complex. Really meant to be a real center for life and service. It's not going to be the same as the Great Mosque of Isfahan just because of its placement. And when you get to the Great Mosque of Isfahan video, you'll understand what I mean. But one similarity between the Great Mosque of Isfahan and Mosque of Selim is going to be this kind of bubble wrap looking tops on the roof, and that's because we have all these little domes happening here. It kind of gives it a bubble wrap, right? You notice on the courtyard of the Mosque of Selim, you have an arcade. You can kind of see it here. The arcade, the rows of arches, and under or above each arch is a little small dome, which gives it the bubble wrap. And notice all the half domes, and of course the big dome and some other smaller domes on the prayer hall. So we know about the importance of the location already. I wanted to show you these images because it gives you good information or visual information about the exterior, about the brickwork and the attention paid to the facade and beautifying of the facade, which Hagia Sophia lacks. Also, you'll notice the tile work, which you should always remember in relation to Islamic architecture, and of course the calligraphic script here, the beauty of the writing, right? There's the dome. That is a dome, right? That is really astonishing. Okay. The dome, I just want to point out the structure. Then of course, we have the piers, right? The dome itself. Notice that we have muqarnas, right? We've seen muqarnas a lot lately. And helping support the dome onto the square of the base of the building are, according to Khan Academy and a couple of other sources, squinches. I don't see these as squinches. I see these as pendentives. It might be that the muqarnas are masking the squinchiness of the squinches and making me think they're pendentives. But I'm not entirely convinced these are squinches. It doesn't really matter that much. Note, I mean, since Khan Academy says it's squinches, just go with squinches. I've read one of the sources that refers to it as pendentives, but the squinches are decorated with muqarnas, which I think ease the movement from the pier into the dome more smoothly. Good. Here's the dome again, the beautiful, beautiful dome, which I can't get enough of, filled with light. Again, we have that beautiful striped masonry. And there is a video on Khan Academy. You can watch it on Khan Academy, or you can go to the Google Classroom and go to this presentation on the Google Classroom, and you can watch it there. Okay? Thank you.